Hello, my peri and post-menopausers. Coach Nitra here again, and today is all about being an advocate for yourself. Sometimes that can be one of the hardest things that any of us will do, especially in a physician's office. Why? Because we respect them. We feel like they've gone through, 12, 14 years of post-secondary education between college, med school, residencies, plus then the experience, then getting into their own practice. So you think about all the years of training and everything they've done, and they're the expert, right? But sometimes we're so fearful of speaking up and asking questions and even saying if we don't think that they're right. The problem with that is we walk away feeling unsure. You walk away not confident, or you walk away doing something that you don't believe in, or you just walk away feeling like they didn't answer my question, or they don't hear me, or they don't understand, or you just walk away feeling like, gosh, I didn't say anything, right? You may be getting some medication you don't want and you take it anyway. You may still be having certain symptoms, but you walked away, and it's very difficult. And so I want to talk about how do we confidently ask some of the right questions, but also what do we do when we feel like the person who is our physician isn't receptive or isn't hearing us, okay? So first of all, how do we do it? Number one, we got to have physicians in your network, meaning those who you go to and you regularly go to, that you actually feel comfortable with. And sometimes we don't know that on that first visit, right? First visit, we don't always know that they're going to be the person or not, even if they're a referral from somebody you trust, because sometimes the relationship that they have with someone else is not the relationship that they potentially are going to have with you. Or your situation may be different, and maybe your line of questioning, your personality may not resonate the same. So you want to kind of feel it out. But in that initial meeting of that new physician, you want to be able to ask questions and understand, are they someone that you can talk to? Are they someone who has the time to speak to you? And not that you're looking to have this hour-long conversation, but you are looking for somebody who you can converse with. Someone who, if you're not sure what they're saying, that you're okay with, hey, I don't understand that. Can you share that with me again? Can you break that down? Whatever it might be. But if you don't feel that, then I urge you, even on that first visit, I want you to get somebody else. And some of you, depending on where you live, it may be very challenging in certain areas to find someone new, or a specialist, especially, right? Where you're waiting for an appointment for 3, 4, 5 months. I know it sounds absurd, but these are the things that are going on. But it behooves you, if you're not feeling like it's somebody you can talk to, go to someone else. Number 2, make sure that the questions you're asking pertain to that physician's experience. What do I mean by that? Let's say you're at your general practitioner's office and you want to talk to them about hormone control. If you want to talk about pre-diabetes, diabetes, you really do need to see people who that is what they do every single day, i.e. an endocrinologist. Again, you may not be able to get to one super quick, but the general physician is there for general questions. But when you want to get something very specific, unless they have a specialty area, i.e. of one of the ones that I've just said, if they have a specialty area within their general practitioner practice or their experience, then that makes sense. But if they don't, ask them to refer you to someone they trust, they know, someone in the area, but don't try to press things that are not their expertise, because they're probably going to answer you. But it may not always be the most current or the most updated information, because it's not the part that they do every single day. Or if you're at an OBGYN that is mainly obstetrics, don't ask questions there about, say, peri and postmenopause, unless that's their specialty, because that's not the area that they do every day. So start making that transition. You want to have people in that network, in that circle, who are specialists or specialists in their area, or they have more specialty knowledge about what you are asking. Sometimes we want to ask general physicians about our high blood pressure, but some of you may be more advanced and you may need to see a cardiologist, right? Because there's something else that may be going on. Or you may have something GI related. You need to see a gastroenterologist neurologist because the general physician is not going to be able to talk with you in the way that the GI physician is going to. And a lot of this is education based, meaning if you don't know, you don't know. You just don't know that there's someone else that you need to speak to. Or if you're constantly having sinus troubles, certain types of headaches, right? You may need to see an ear, nose, and throat doctor, but you don't know that. So that's why I say some of the questions you're asking or some of the things that you may be experiencing, make sure they're directed at the right person so you don't either get information that is not current or you get a very general response and you feel like you've taken that response as gold versus going to see a specialist or somebody who that's just what they do every single day. Number 3, in part of that advocacy for yourself, talk to your physician about your struggles and what you are doing. Oftentimes we leave out some of the most important aspects of things that we do. They don't know that you just started eating differently. They don't know that, over the last 2 months, you've lost, 15 pounds because it may be the first time you're going there. So you may hear something that maybe you didn't like, or maybe you didn't understand, but it's because they don't know you. So share a little bit about things that you are doing. If your job has changed, if your travel time has changed, make sure that they know a little bit about your life, especially if you're up against potential, metabolic panel numbers, i.e. high blood pressure, or if you are up against, high cholesterol, prediabetes, diabetes, or we're seeing something that says, hey, your calcium is low, your iron, whatever is going on. You want to be able to tell them a little bit about you so they understand your lifestyle, maybe potential struggles you have, or that, maybe you've lost a parent or lost a grandparent, or you just sent your child to college, whatever that might be. If you have some other mental struggles all the time, it shows in what's going on with your body. And it could be through some of your metabolic numbers, but you have to share these things are going on. Why? So we don't jump the gun to medication when potentially that might not be where you even wanted to go, but you didn't know how to say, this is what's happening with me, and here's what I'm doing about it, even though I know it's really high. Give me 30, 60 days to work on it. Give me 90 days to work on it. Or let me track my pressure, every 2 days. There's things that you can do, right? So that's kind of number 3 around how are you going to advocate for yourself. Number 4, think about how you prepare for your visits. Write down things that are important to you, things that are happening to you, because sometimes we think we're just going to remember. But if y'all anything like me in my life, there's so many other things that you're going to remember. And that really important thing that you thought you was going to remember, you forgot. You completely forgot because something else just jumped in and that jumped out. Take notes along the way as you prepare for visits, and not like the morning of, but in the weeks leading up to it. Just write down a few notes of things that are just on your mind or things that you definitely want to make sure that you go over so that you don't walk away feeling like, God dang it, I didn't say anything and I forgot. And then also think about this last one is literally around how you challenge. Sometimes in general, especially if you're hearing something you don't like, we can come across as defensive, or either you're non-responsive and you never say anything. So it's important to, in that moment, really think about what you're hearing factually and not in the delivery, because every time there may be moments when somebody's tact isn't the best, and not because they have malicious intent, not because they're insensitive, but because maybe they just didn't say it the way you needed, right, to receive it. So think through that and think about all the personalities that they're dealing with, and then how you may take information, but really think through what you heard. And if you have some challenge with it, or you think, hey, there's something else, or the reason why something may be showing like it's showing, have that conversation and say, hey, you know what, that makes sense, but here's what I'm doing, and I want to talk to you about that. Don't fly off the handle. Don't be defensive, but more importantly, share factually what you just heard, what you think it means, get some dialogue going, and then share what you have already done. And if you're stuck, tell them, hey, I'm not really sure how to proceed. Do you have someone you recommend if they think you need some X, Y, and Z, right? Talk to them about it. And sometimes if you feel like you're being rushed, then in that moment say, hey, you know what? It seems like maybe we don't have enough time to really talk about this in the right way. Can I make another appointment? Can we have a telehealth appointment, right? Can we have just a 20-minute slot in your telehealth appointments, which many physicians at this point do, And if they don't, and that's a problem for you and you can't get an appointment, then that's why I say again, then that might not be the right person for you. But try to explore all options to be able to have conversations when it works best for the both of you. So the physician doesn't feel rushed and pressed, you don't feel rushed and not heard. And then you can actually get to the real issues. But the most important part about this conversation today is, in order to be your best self, in order to work through this time in your life and any time in your life, we need to be able to advocate for ourselves, ask questions, share when we're concerned about what we heard, share when we are not on board with their potential plan and you want to go over a different type of plan, right? You want to be able to say those things and prepare for the visit. Write the notes down. Right? If you're uncomfortable, if you think that you need somebody else, take somebody else with you, okay? Don't be afraid to talk to a doctor. They are there for you. So often, so my own clients, and then as I consult or as I meet people along the way, so many are afraid to say, I didn't catch that. Like, let's talk through that again. Or they're afraid to challenge. And we can't be when it comes to our health. We can't be when it comes to you feeling better. Now, this one can get a little bit sticky, and I want you to be able to know kind of how to manage this one, especially at this point in so many of your lives where you feel like, I'm just not like myself right now. I don't feel like myself. I actually just don't feel that great, but metabolically, nothing is wrong. Hormone panels say it's good, right? And they'll say everything is fine. But I want you guys to know, like, hormone levels, they are always in a state of some flux. And for many of you in this peri and this post-menopause, hormones are going to look in range because they're supposed to be changing. Does that make sense? Some of those numbers, they're not going to be as high. And there are ranges for age groups, for women in childbearing years, women who are pregnant, teenagers, and then women who are perimenopause and post. There are ranges of what is considered normal. All right. But understand that that range that's normal doesn't mean it's normal for you. And most people have never had a hormone panel before until there's a need for it, right? So you may not know what normal for you is. And it doesn't negate that you don't feel like yourself. So don't just deal with the, hey, everything is normal, so you should be fine. You know your body. And that's why I say you are your biggest advocate. And if you don't feel like yourself, share those things. I know that you say the panel is fine, but here is what I am experiencing. Now, of course, when it comes to so many things that may occur, there's a lot that you can do at home. And that's why you're here, right? That's why you're listening to this right now, because you're trying to do something different. Always having an exercise routine with some form of strength training, an excellent sleep routine. We got to work through getting quality sleep. Some of you may say, oh, I'm trying, right? That's hard right now. But there's things we can do to get that quality sleep. There are things that we can do to make sure that we manage the stress load. We have to have a solid eating routine. Whatever your style of eating is, whether you're a classic eater, means you don't exclude anything, whether you're someone who only eats, animal protein of fish, but you eat eggs, and then some of you eat fish but no eggs. Then some of you are hybrid approach, where some days you only plant-based, some days you do eat animal proteins. And then some of you are fully plant-based all the way to just vegetarian and then vegan. Whatever your eating style, it still means you have to have a solid routine within it. Means eating consistently, eating the right quantity for your age, your body, your goals, your current health. And we cannot play around with that part, or we can't pretend. Y'all know what I'm talking about when we say, well, I'm doing this, but you're not really doing it all the time. We can't pretend about that part. Now, sometimes you may not know how to do it, right? And that's why people like me exist. But you have to have that solid eating routine and the other things that I've said to help you manage through a lot of things. But when you have that part right, and you're still saying, gosh, I still just don't feel like myself, that's where there may need to be some other form of support. This is why I say match the physician with the issue. That one physician who may be doing a portion of the work may not be the expert that takes you the rest of the way, okay? So look for hormone experts, and not just someone who's trying to push supplements, but look for the people who understand how this works, who really work with women on a daily basis, who are in different stages of life, i.e. different levels of hormones that need to be pulled, right? If you need some form of hormone support, and there are so many different kinds. So I know there can be a stigma, but don't be afraid to have the discussion with an expert, someone who does it every day. You don't have to ever say yes to it, but know what your options are. Then there are also herbal supplement options, right? But you need to know what you're doing there. You need to understand dosing. Then there are also over-the-counter forms within online products. There are a lot of different companies that you can buy hormone support items from that are not pharmaceuticals, right? That are over-the-counter that you can just purchase online. So there's a lot of different things that you can do, but make sure you have the conversation and you're able to say, hey, I understand this looks normal, but I know I do not feel normal, and here are all the things that I have done. I think it's time that I see an expert. Or do you have some other advice? Do you have someone who you know of that I can reach out to? Okay. I know it can get sticky, and I know you're going to hear that. Hey, your hormone panel looks fine. And again, most of the time it's not because something is abnormal. It's just, it might not be normal for you. And number two, it doesn't negate the feelings that you have. So trust in that. You know yourself better than anybody. So trust your body, your instincts, and trust when you know you don't feel right and you know you're doing the things that should have equated to feeling better. Okay. All right. So hopefully this helps. I'm also going to attach a document to this that helps you kind of track and prepare for a doctor's visit. So hopefully this was helpful.